Purdue's back after a rough loss to Ohio State and Columbus, going on the road to Northwestern. First, I'm sorry, I had some travel issues on Monday and Tuesday, and we kind of missed the Ohio State recap window. Don't worry, we will kind of touch on that throughout this Northwestern preview. You'll definitely get kind of our opinions on that, I'm sure, kind of conveyed through this preview, but we wanted to mostly focus on this Northwestern preview and make sure we got that up for you guys. So we will hop right into that. Ethan, this is a bad Northwestern team, but this is a Northwestern team that is playing some of their best basketball. This is their first, kind of multi-game winning streak since they stopped playing sub 300 Ken Palm opponents. They beat Maryland, Indiana, and Oregon all in a row. They went to Assembly Hall and beat Indiana, something that Purdue did not do this year. What are your thoughts on this Northwestern team? How likely is it that you think that this team can kind of hang with Purdue, especially given how Purdue's played recently?
I don't think it's very likely, to be blunt about it. Sorry, I mean, this Northwestern team was really good. Please watch the preview. Look, I think Northwestern's their recent 3-game winning streak is great for them. They're not the worst team in the Big Ten. I think they've kind of proven that. They have road wins at USC and at Indiana, which are two difficult places to play, and two, middle of the pack Big Ten teams that the true bottom dwellers would not beat on the road. This team is also one player, and that's Nick Martinelli. Any Northwestern preview should start by talking about Nick Martinelli, who is a contender for first team All Big Ten, despite playing on a bottom 5 team in the league. He's averaging 22.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, 2 assists, points, steals, and half a block per game, 50% from the floor, 80% from line, and 42.2% from 3. He is a legit star at the college level. He's big too, 6'7", just like this big wingspan. He's very reminiscent of some of those wings Northwestern's had in recent years that have given Purdue and some of the other top teams in this league trouble. And the game plan on both sides of the ball for Purdue is going to be how to deal with Martinelli.
Yeah, the good news for Purdue is, doing a quick audit, Martinelli has kind of struggled in large part against a lot of the better teams he's seen this year. Now, granted, they've been better defenses, and he did play very well against Michigan State. But, he had 18 points against Michigan on 22 shot attempts. He had 4 points against Illinois in their last meeting on 10 shot attempts. This is a guy that I think good teams and physical front courts have been able to semi-neutralize. And if Purdue's able to do that, one, it gives me some faith, I think, again, in kind of the defensive floor of this front court, and two, I think it's possible, and it's a way that Purdue could dominate this game. But my main focus for Purdue's ability to dominate this game is the backcourt. I largely believe that Trey Kaufman-Renn and Martinelli are kind of just equal each other out. I think that's the most likely scenario for what ends up happening here. And if that's the case, I think this Purdue team still probably wins, pretty close, even if you don't get a great game from the backcourt. But I think if you get a good showing from this Purdue backcourt, there's nothing this Northwestern team can do to keep up with that.
Yeah, let's break down Northwestern analytically a little bit, because Martinelli is their best player, and we'll kind of touch on one or two other players they have that could show up big in this game. But for the most part, this is one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the country. They don't shoot a lot of shots from 3, and they don't make a lot of shots from 3. Purdue's defensive strategy of force role players to take open threes might be extremely effective against Northwestern. That is certainly a strategy other teams have employed against them. What they do well is attack the paint and score inside the arc. They're one of the most effective 2-point offenses in the country. They don't turn the ball over, and they don't get their shots blocked. They take a lot of long twos, which is a little bit interesting stylistically match up with this Purdue defense. But that is the Martinelli effect. He's kind of got that mid-range step back shot kind of patented. It's his shot, and he takes a lot of them, and other guys kind of follow suit. It'll be interesting to see how decides to defend Martinelli, because he's not a guy you can just hey, CJ Cox, go stop Martinelli. That's just a mismatch. And it's not like they have all these bigs in the that you're worried about like Trey and Clough need to match up with either. So I expect Trey Kaufman-Renn probably takes the Martinelli assignment, and that'll be a challenging cover for him. On the other end of the floor, though, Northwestern's defense, they give up a ton of rebounds. It should be a feast day for Clough and TKR on the boards.
Yeah, on the Martinelli matchup, the nice thing about this Northwestern team is Martinelli is really the only 3-point shooter capable of beating you from three. I think there are a couple guys like Jaden Reed who kind of has the like going off capability, but Jaden Reed's shooting 31% from three and not even making one a game this year. Jake West is shooting 37%, if I can interest you in that. But again, not even making one per game this year. So, like, these are guys who, even though the shooting percentage isn't very good, they're not shooting very many either. Like, this isn't a low volume, high efficiency team. It's a low volume, low efficiency team from three. So you can kind of collapse on Martinelli and force him into bad turnovers and much more difficult shots. And respectfully, I'm not really all that concerned about kicking out the Trey Singleton or Angelo Chiaravino or Jaden Reed on the perimeter and those guys just killing you from three. If it starts to happen, you adjust, obviously, but this is one of those games where I think you buy into the like big picture, the numbers speak for themselves, like let these guys shoot philosophy that Painter likes to employ. And that's where I think they're not going to turn over Northwestern very often, but you can kind of just let them bomb away from three if they are willing to. And I think that's the strategy.
Yeah, I mean, this Northwestern offense runs through Martinelli and Reed, and those are the guys that expects Cox is going to be on Reed. Reed is very much like a slashing downhill guard, and definitely the second guy you want to stop on this team. Arrington Page is their starting center, and I kind of like him. He does some good stuff, but it's not something you should look at as like a mismatch for Oscar Clough. He's not really a stretch big. He'll take some shots from outside, but he's shooting 23% from three. You just tell Clough, like, hey, if he's going to post out from the 3-point line, like walk towards him with a hand up and, don't let him really get to the rim. It'll be interesting to say. I think you're right. I think like the defense collapsing on Martinelli and controlled closeouts on guys and making sure that they're not getting like warm-up shots from three. But as long as they have to think about it, that's all the contest you really need to worry about. That's probably what Purdue's going to do. And then, yeah, offensively, Purdue should kind of have their way with this Northwestern team. Northwestern gives up a ton of offensive rebounds. They don't turn teams over. Like, there's just not a lot on their team sheet that, like, they don't block a ton of shots. They actually do block a decent number of shots around the rim, but they don't face bigs like Purdue's that often. And Braden Smith, I mean, in Northwestern's coverage, you kind of get whatever he wants around the elbow if he wants to be aggressive in this game. And if not, like, guys will be open from three. Northwestern's going to have to commit extra bodies to defending the paint and crashing the glass to try and end rebounds. So offensive rebound, kick out for a three could be extremely effective offense in this one.
Yeah, Northwestern is the 14th best team in the conference in offensive rebound percentage. They're 18th in the conference in defensive rebound percentage. They don't get to the free throw line. They send opponents to the free throw line. They're 17th in the conference in average 2-point allowed distance. That means that our average 2-point attempt distance, that means that opponents are attempting shots closer to the rim than every other team in the Big Ten but one. They don't have any rim protection. They don't have any rebounding. They don't really have anything in the front court besides Martinelli scoring, in my opinion. And so I think this would be a great chance for Oscar Clough or even Daniel Jacobson to buy themselves some goodwill, I think, for the Purdue fan base, for the Purdue coaches, and still a little bit of confidence in themselves that they can still dominate inferior front courts, because let's call it what it is. I think this is an inferior front court. But if you get the performance that, like, say you got against Ohio State from Oscar Clough and Daniel Jacobson, there's a world this Northwestern front court outplays Purdue's, and that's a scary thought, I think, for Purdue.
I agree. This Northwestern front court is, I would describe them as a pretty solid offensive front court. Excellent, really, in Martinelli's case, and an extremely suspect defensive one outside of pretty good rim protection. They're gettable on the interior, especially on the boards, and that's a mismatch Purdue needs to attack every time they're on offense, I think. And this is a classic Painter inside out offensive game. Not that the guards can't dominate if they want to, but getting the ball inside, forcing Northwestern's defense to collapse and kind of working from there is probably Purdue's best strategy offensively in this one. Let's talk about the spot a little bit. We mentioned we talk at least in passing about the Ohio State loss and what Purdue's kind of dealing with right now. We mentioned Northwestern coming off 3 straight wins. They're building a little bit of confidence. Purdue, meanwhile, lost 2 in a row, lost 3 of their last 4 after a 4-game win streak, kind of including 2 big road wins, kind of seems to stabilize things for the Boilermakers. What do you want to see from Purdue in this one?
I want to see like a crispness to this team, a kind of not desperation, but like bad intentions, kind of. Like I want this team to come out focused and locked in and screw the outside noise. And I know you're on a losing streak. I know you're not competing for the Big Ten championship anymore. Go beat Northwestern by 30. Go remind people that Purdue should still be feared come March. Like I think it's more to remind yourselves and your fan base more than anything that this is the same roster that just beat Texas Tech by 30 a couple months ago on a neutral court. Go remind people, go beat the hell out of a Northwestern team that, for as bad as they are, have given teams games recently. Like this Northwestern team played with this Michigan team for 30 minutes while getting a Martinelli stinker. And so this is a capable Northwestern team, but this is a Northwestern team that Purdue's also capable of blowing out. And I want to see Purdue come out and run their stuff efficiently on offense while showing a toughness about them on defense and, saying Jake West isn't just going to drive around us the way John Mobley and Bruce Thornton were in the Ohio State game. That's not happening. Kind of remind yourselves we're better than that. And we're, effort wise and I think focus wise, we're better than that. We could be better than that. And that was a 1-game thing. And it's not going to carry over into March. And we're ready for a deep March run, even if we're not going to be competitive for the Big Ten regular season championship.
I agree. I want to see this team clicking. This is a severely overmatched Northwestern team. You mentioned they played some good teams tough, but they have 5 Big Ten wins on the season, and their best win is over Indiana, who has, I believe, 8 Big Ten wins on the season out of 18. Like this Purdue team should dominate this game, even on the road, even coming off a bad Ohio State performance. And the last time Purdue played like they did against Ohio State was the loss at Assembly Hall. And then Purdue proceeded to play the next 6 games through the Indiana win as their best stretch of conference play. Analytically, that was the best Purdue had looked all season. And they responded after a game in which their effort was criticized, their hustle was criticized, their execution, their defense. We saw them respond, and that included an 11-point loss to Michigan, but it also included a 30-point drubbing of the rival, the biggest win in the series since the 1960s. It included a road win at a then top 5 Nebraska team. It included a dominating win over a top 25, analytically speaking, Iowa team. Like, this team is capable of going on runs. They're capable of responding under pressure. They have 2 games left before postseason play starts. We're less than 2 weeks out from Selection Sunday. Like, they are running out of time to respond, but they haven't run out of time yet. Like, now's a good chance to go on the road and instill some confidence in this fan base.
Also, I don't want this senior class to have this taste kind of in your mouth when you think about them. Like, I want nothing more than for the senior class to win these next 2 games by like 50 combined points, and we get to celebrate these guys for what they've been over 4 years for Purdue, and hopefully go into a really, really deep March run. And these 2 games aren't the end of their career, but I think this team has some steps to take after that Ohio State game. They have some responses, and I mean, Paint clearly called for him in the post-game press conference, so we'll see if that happens. We will be back to recap this.
Well, hang on, Joy. Before we get out of here, we never made our actual predictions, so let's do that.
You're so right. I'm ducking, I guess.
Absolutely ducking. So KenPom has this 79-74 Purdue on the road at Welsh Ryan. Who do you have taken this one? Do you think Purdue covers the 9-point spread?
I think Purdue covers. I think Purdue covers not super comfortably, but I think Purdue wins this game by like 13, 14 points. It's not going to be the most, crisp you've ever seen this Purdue team or the best you've ever seen them look. I don't think we're going to get like a 40-point blowout or anything like that, but I just think you see this Purdue team hold Northwestern at arm's length. You might not see shots fall. Welsh Ryan is a weird place, but I think you see the effort improve. I think you see this Purdue team kill Northwestern on the glass, and Northwestern struggle to score a little bit at times. And I think it's a super low possession game that Purdue is just locked in for, and you get like a B+ performance that just shot making might be the only difference to make it an A+ performance. And I think this Purdue team wins like 76-62 and a pretty strong performance from the Boilermakers, but not an A+ performance.
I'm taking Purdue by 22. I think this is a very comfortable Purdue win. Like I said, last time Purdue played as poorly as they did against Ohio State was against Indiana in Assembly Hall, and they responded with a 30-point win at Maryland. I think Northwestern is a little bit better than Maryland, but they're also a worse matchup. Like Purdue is also a worse matchup for Northwestern than they are for Maryland. Maryland has lots of those like smaller athletic guards who can get their own shots, and none of them are all that good. When you have a lot of those guys, they can do some damage against Purdue, and they did in the second half of this one. Outside of Martinelli, I don't really think anyone has smoke for this Purdue defense, and Purdue can do their thing where they collapse down on the one guy who can make a shot and force role players to make tough threes or long twos. And I think this Northwestern offense goes dry. You're right. Welsh Ryan's a weird place. Purdue's had some bad luck there in recent years. I wouldn't expect this to be like a hot shooting night or anything, but give me Purdue like 77-55 in a win that doesn't smooth over all the hard feelings from the Ohio State loss and the Michigan State loss, but does enough to make this fan base ease off of their star players a little bit. I agree. I think this Purdue fan base has been coming for the guys, and it's a little bit sad to see, even if they are at times deserving of it. And I think this fan base, this program, and this team especially needs a feel-good win. I think they get one here. I think Northwestern is as bad as advertised, and Purdue can take care of them pretty comfortably.
Yeah, would love to see that for vibes and all included. So we will, as I was saying earlier a couple minutes ago before I got way ahead of myself, we will be here to recap this one. I promise no more travel excuses from me. I will be there for this one. And yeah, hopefully we get a 22-point Purdue win. That'd be nice. Thanks for listening, everyone. Be sure to check out our recap later this week.